Welcome to Educate, Inform, and Challenge. My name is Teresa MacLennan, and I'm the Executive Director of the Women and Children's Shelter of Barrie, and we are absolutely thrilled that you could be with us here today. The goal of our show is to talk about the lives and experiences of women. We talk about topics like gender-based violence, human trafficking, gender roles, gender equity, women in leadership, domestic violence. And so we aim to have just open, transparent, and safe conversations where we can inform our community and challenge our thinking. And so we are very, very thankful that you're here with us today. And before we begin, we also want to thank and acknowledge our Indigenous community and partners. Thank you for allowing us to share in this space and have these conversations here today on this land. We thank you so much. So we're going to dive into a great conversation today about community safety and wellness. And I am thrilled to welcome our guest, Keira Brooks from Barrie Police Services. So Keira, welcome. And would you like to tell our viewers a little bit about yourself?
Thank you, Teresa, and thank you for inviting me to share this space with you. I feel very privileged. I love what your organization represents, so thank you. I'm a police officer, obviously, with Barrie Police and have been for the last 24 years. I've loved every single minute of it. I'm a very proud member of our service, and I look forward to the next several years before my retirement. I'm excited to share with you that I have a new position that I started in January, and it was in response to the Police Service Act requiring that municipalities develop and adopt a community safety and well-being plan. So Ontario recognizes that communities and well-being can't just rest on the shoulders of the police department itself, that obviously it's a shared responsibility by all members in the community. And it's an integrated approach to bring our municipalities, our First Nations, our community partners together to address a common goal. And because of that, I was lucky enough to apply for the Community Safety and Wellbeing Officer position, which started in January, where I get to work with amazing organizations like yourself.
So this is going to be a great conversation, and I really want to highlight what you just said in terms of responsibility for community safety. We, as citizens of our city of Barrie, our beautiful city of Barrie, we do all share in that responsibility to create safe, vibrant, healthy communities for everyone. And certainly as the Women and Children's Shelter of Barrie, we support women and their children who've had an experience of violence. And what we know and we hear and what we've experienced as women is that we do have to live our lives when we're talking about safety in a particularly different way than men do. When I think about, let's say, accessing the downtown core, which is a beautiful place, I think differently about my safety than perhaps a male would. I think about, can I be downtown by myself at night? Can I wait for a taxi by myself? And so we as women consider different things in terms of our safety. And so I think it is a wonderful project that you are spearheading, and we're going to dive into that project today and just what that looks like. So where I'd like to start is talking about our city of Barrie. And so when you think about community safety and the movement that's happening, where do we stand in terms of the safety that we currently have in our city? And that'll lead us to where it needs to be. So when you think about us where we are right now, how does that look to you?
So I would love to just echo what I had said above in our last question, and just explain that safety is obviously a shared responsibility among tons of our shareholders in our community groups. It's a collaborative effort, obviously, between the members of our community, working together in coordinating ways to promote health and safety of all of our citizens. And I do understand and recognize that we do have to think differently sometimes as women when we are in the downtown core. And I can't wait to get to that a little bit later on some projects that we've been working on. As far as Barrie goes, though, I'd like us to recognize our city as one place that you feel you can live in, you can work in, you can play, go downtown, attend the beach without fear. That's what a safe city looks like to me. I love the idea of the community safety and well-being plan because it doesn't just focus on the police doing all the work. It focuses on community-led development to work on such things as affordable housing, getting the women and children into the shelters if they need to, affordable mental health services maybe, and definitely cross-cultural acceptance. So there's a lot of things that encompass what a safe city, safe community looks like.
So we're going to dive into that. And I do really want to, have that conversation and share with our viewers the work that has happened, because it is incredible movement and work that is already at play. And so we are going to dive into that. So maybe start off with telling us, where did you start in terms of the work that you're doing now in relation to the community safety plan?
So I'm really personally lucky because the community safety and well-being plan was already in the works before I came into the unit. There was a ton of work that was behind the scenes to strive at making sure that our efforts to promote community safety were there. Lots and lots of effort before I got there, with 15 different action plans to work on with common goals, using all of our community partners and encouraging that we develop strategies, programs, and services to help minimize risk factors and improve overall well-being of our community. So it's a work in progress, and we're always working on it. And most recently, we started with an excellent project in our downtown core.
And so who has been partnering with you, let's say, as you stepped in? Who are the partners at this point who have been involved, and who might be partners in the future?
So currently right now, I was working on a project for just bringing some safety awareness to our downtown Barrie. And one of our partners was the amazing Women and Children's Shelter. We worked with Shack's World, which is a community center downtown for at-risk youth. We worked with the Salvation Army downtown. We've worked with the city of Barrie. I've personally worked with our ward counselors because they have lots of issues in their wards, and that way I can partner with them to work on some of their concerns.
So did you start by looking at any particular area of the city first?
I personally did with my new role. So I started with a downtown. We classified it as a safety audit, but what I actually do is something called CPTED, which is crime prevention through environmental design. That's where I started.
Okay, and so walk us through, you're part of this committee, and I'm sure everyone has some ideas about what safety looks like, and great ideas are flowing. Where did you land in terms of, this is the first thing, since you've been involved, this is the first thing that we're going to tackle and we're going to look at?
So I was really lucky that this landed on my lap, because there was a citizen within our community, a female, who felt unsafe in the downtown core. And that was brought forward, and we approached her in an effort to assist her in making her feel safe downtown. And it just expanded to us ensuring that all women and girls, and then eventually lots of our citizens in the city of Barrie, could feel safe going downtown. So we partnered with different community groups so that we could have a whole bunch of amazing ideas together to work at, what does it look like? What does going downtown look like to be safe? So, and if you did feel unsafe, where could you go if you felt unsafe? So these were some of the questions that came about. And as a result, we worked at doing something similar to like a block parent idea, where we would make the downtown be a bright spot. And the reason we thought it would be a bright spot is because the Barrie city itself should be a bright spot where everyone feels connected, safe, secure. And so we decided, let's get signs in people's windows. Let's train people who own businesses to be able to respond to women or people in need, feeling unsafe, young girls, youth feeling unsafe, to be able to go into a store and say, hey, I need a little bit of help. And what does that look like? And the great part about that is having the women and children shelter with the knowledge, skills, and abilities to be able to train the staff members to say, hey, this is how you respond if you are in a compromised position. And those store owners could then call local services that we have in Barrie, because we have tons of amazing services in Barrie, like the Busby Center, the Salvation Army, the Women and Children Shelter, that maybe some people don't know about, and especially the employees working in the downtown core. So now we've given them the tools and the knowledge and the skills to be able to deal with those situations.
So I think, we are going to be heading into a break shortly, and I want to circle back to that Bright Spot program and just dive in a little bit deeper and talk about how that has actually been going and the response from business owners, the community, and what the movement's going to be after that. And I do just want to highlight for our viewers that Keira highlighted a woman who had a personal experience in the downtown core where she was harassed. And we have an interview with her. Her name is Jasmine Botter, and we were thrilled to interview her in one of our Rogers shows. And so please look forward and if you can, hear that wonderful story from Jasmine, because she really did light a fire under the community, under this committee, to start work happening. And the most important voice that we have is folks who have a lived experience, who say, this is what happened to me and I don't like it and I don't want it to happen to someone else. So I want change to happen. So we thank you, Keira, so much. We are going to come back and circle back to this conversation, but just wanted to let our viewers know that we welcome Jasmine to share her story on a previous show, and we hope that you will see that one. So stay with us. And when we come back, we're going to dive in deeper to community safety, and we're going to talk about where we're at as a city and what's going to happen in the future. So stay with us.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
No one's gonna click on a 39-year-old woman. You shave everything from the neck down. I guess I never really listened to Rush. Why am I single? You tell me.
I have a very attractive chiropractor.
Oh boy.
What are you looking at, goody-goody? You gonna turn me in?
I'm no goody-goody. Apparently, I'm a baddie-baddie.
Get out of here! Scram!
Welcome back, and we're so glad that you're with us today. We are talking with Keira Brooks from Barrie Police Services, and Keira is in this wonderful role where she's looking at community safety and wellness, and has really been making great movement in terms of how we create safe communities together and share in that responsibility. And so welcome back. So Keira, I want to dive right back into our conversation. I'd like to pick up on something that you said, in that you had completed a safety audit. Can you talk to us about that? When you did the safety audit, I think it was of the downtown, what did you see and experience when you did that audit?
The great thing about the audit was we invited several members of our committee to take a walk with us downtown Barrie. So we could see a bunch of perspectives. So we could see the eyes from the women's shelter. We could see the eyes from a ward councilman. We could see the eyes from our individual who felt unsafe. So we took that walk and we were looking for alleys that may have been concerning. We were looking for businesses that might be tucked into the back and you couldn't really see where you were going. Maybe they needed a mirror or a camera. We were looking for maybe lighting that wasn't so bright. So we really took a deep look at the Dunlop Street, and we took that walk from Mulcaster all the way to 5 Points to start, and we really tackled those areas. Then we started to talk to businesses, and we brought in the downtown BIA because they are pivotal in making sure that our downtown is safe and secure and inviting. So because of that, we decided, what can we do collectively together? And we thought, all right, there are a few alleyways that are dark. Let's get some lights up. So with the assistance of the BIA and the city of Barrie, we developed some lighting strategies, and we're stringing up some lights with the businesses of Barrie offering their own time, their own hydro, and they wanted to get involved. They want people to be down there and feel safe and secure. So we've got a couple lighting projects going on down there. We've got some additional cameras that just went up downtown to make you feel safe, which is wonderful because everywhere you go, you want to just make sure that it is a bright spot. So we talked to different businesses and got their suggestions and wanted to know how they felt we could make the downtown core a little bit safer.
And I think having the local businesses partner with certainly agencies that support, different folks in the community speaks to working together to address community safety. And as you said, the safer our community is, the more people will access their community. And so it sounds like you've been looking at lighting and, how do we open up the downtown in particular so that it can be a safer space and in relation to the work that we do for women in the community. And I want to talk a little bit more about how you are connecting with the community. Do you get phone calls from people? Do you have people reach out to you that want to talk about their neighborhoods and how they can make it safer?
So thanks for asking that, Teresa, because it was really funny. Yesterday, I had a conversation with a community member who felt like there wasn't enough police presence in her area. So she lives up in the north end of Barrie. And as you guys know, our police service moved from the north end over to the center of the city. So she's like, I want to have more police presence. And we had a really healthy, wonderful conversation as to maybe why she might feel as though she's not seeing an officer. And it was a great opportunity for me to share how we have designated police officers assigned to different areas in the city of Barrie. And there is police presence. It's just, unfortunately, maybe she didn't see one. So that opened another big door when she was asking me about, well, cars are being entered. Like, how do we stop that? I feel unsafe sometimes. And I said, it's happening all throughout the city. Of course, cars are entered and thefts occur. So we had a great conversation about reminding people to lock their doors and things like that. And I said to her, do you have a home security system? And she said, I do. That opened another door. So we have a great program right now, if you go to the Barrie Police website, where we have launched our Register Your Home Security System online. So if you do register your security system online, our officers have access to that. So let's say you live at 123 Main Street in Barrie and your car was entered, and you talk to your neighbor at 124 or 126, and all of your cars were entered, and you just talk about it. That way, if you report it online to us, and you've reported that you have a camera, a security system, we can go on and it'll save us so much time to try to figure out who has cameras, can we access maybe who was walking around between midnight and 1 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning. We just had some great conversations. She had no idea that we had this camera registry. So she emailed me later on in the day and said, camera registered. And I went online and sure enough, she had her camera registry. So it really did open the door.
think that's fantastic. I mean, it's another layer, another tool that people may not have known about that they can use that really helps them to create their own safety in their own neighborhoods and their own communities. I think that it's absolutely fantastic. And we encourage our viewers to go more to the website and take a look at that if you're interested in registering your own security system, because we can see how that could be a really valuable tool. There's so much wonderful things that are happening. And so, and you're having conversations with folks in the community, which I think in listening to you sounds to be so key. Building relationships between Barrie Police Services and the community for people to feel that they have a voice, to reach out to you and say, what can I do so that I feel safer in my community? And I love that you are the one and you're having these great conversations, and that people can feel comfortable and free to call you and have those conversations. I think it is absolutely terrific. And so, leading off from there, I want to talk about a little bit more about the Bright Spot program. And so, certainly we've been very pleased as our agency to partner with Barrie Police Services, Salvation Army, Shacks World, Downtown BIA, City of Barrie, to launch, and support the movement of the Bright Spot program. Can you just summarize again for our viewers what the Bright Spot initiative is?
So ultimately, the Bright Spot is just a big block parent community. That's how I would describe it. So what you get is you get a little 20-minute training with all of these groups that are involved in, and you end up getting a sign. You can put it in your window, and that way, as you will hear from Jasmine eventually, is that if she had seen this sign in a window, she might have gone in there that day that she felt uncomfortable in the downtown core. So it's just really giving the community a sense of safety. So I'm super thrilled about it. And if I can just touch on one more thing that is also really important in our community, with a conversation I had today with a gentleman about him starting up a Ward 1 residents association. I was pretty impressed with that, but he wanted to get the police involved and say, can I call you if I need to? And I said, absolutely. And he was like, how else can we expand on our association? And I said, why don't you create a neighborhood watch program? And he's like, oh, yes, I would love to. I want to create lots of them, because each neighborhood can have their own little program. And once you create a neighborhood watch program, you're taking pride in your community. We're empowering you. And once you have pride and empowerment in your community, it brings you all together to have a safe environment. And that just ties back into the Bright Spot. Our downtown is just full of pride, and the business owners being able to offer this sense of security for people to feel comfortable. And that's exactly what our neighborhood watch. So it's all just about community involvement.
I can see how the model of, right now, we've done some focusing on businesses in the downtown core being a bright spot, but really anyone can be a bright spot in the community. I mean, we're talking about businesses, but you've talked about this gentleman who's called you saying, I want to create safety in my neighborhood. How do I do that? He is becoming his own bright spot. He's asking his neighbors to be bright spot. And what that means is that, again, like very much, I grew up in Barrie, I've lived here my whole life. I remember block parent communities, and I remember seeing the signs in the windows. And so it is incredible movement that's happening. And, I think it is important to also say that during these times right now of COVID, we can feel disconnected from each other. We can feel like coming together as communities, as neighbors, is difficult to do. The conversations that you're having with folks brings us back together, brings us back to a focus on community, citizenship, and safety. And I think it's really, really great work that you're doing. And so if someone is interested in, let's say, focusing on the downtown core, if someone is interested as a business person, wanting to become involved, know more about the Bright Spot initiative, what do they do? Who should they talk to?
So they can talk to a couple of people. They can reach out to our BIA downtown. They have an amazing website. Definitely reach out to them. They will keep organized. We've got 8 members originally who trained to be a bright spot. And now the other day we just added, I think, another 12. So we've got about 20 downtown members. You can reach out to me, and I believe all my contact information is available for you. And I'm happy to connect and guide you to the right person if you want to be a part of it.
And so if a business is interested, they would, let's say, reach out to you. And what would they expect to, the next steps to be after that?
So what we do is once we get a group of people, and I think that we're limiting it to about 6 people minimum before we can provide some training, we all get together as a committee. So all of us that were involved in the Bright Spot training get together. We come on Zoom because of COVID, which is not that bad of a way to do it, but we get together and we provide you with a 20-minute training session. And then after that, you have the opportunity to ask lots of different questions, which has been very, very fruitful in our previous training groups. We've ended up lasting about an hour in our training sessions just because we've got some wonderful conversations going on. So then you expect to get a sign if you are a downtown business owner, and a bunch of amazing resources of all kinds of different resources that you can reach out and connect with, and phone numbers right at your fingertip. That's what I'm really proud of, is you get this 2-page list of resources right there for you.
So we really want to encourage any, well, certainly a business if you're in the downtown core, but a business anywhere. And because I think our hope is that it will expand even outside of the downtown. So we're thinking of businesses on Batefield Street and on any, little communities that have strip malls, and things like that. There's such an opportunity to expand that. And so we really hope that anyone in our community that's interested in taking part, I have one of the Bright Spot signs that I'll hold up, and I hope you'll be able to see it. But this would be the sign that you will get when you become a Bright Spot ambassador. And so we really, really hope it's something that you'll consider. And so, Kyra, we want to thank you again for being with us today. I think it is a great conversation to have. I think it is really important for folks in the community to see the work of Barrie Police Services, and that Barrie Police Services is dedicated and really wanting to create safe communities, but with the community partners and the citizens of the community. And so we really, really applaud you for the work that you're doing. We love your enthusiasm, and definitely can tell that you've got this great spirit towards it and that you want it to be successful. And that is very, it's spreading to the rest of us. And so I thank you so much for the work that you're doing. And we really thank our viewers for being with us here today. It has been a really fulsome and great conversation. We hope you'll become involved, and we hope to see you again here again. And just take care.